Hi, everybody. Welcome in. This is Adam, also known as at YFC Sports V12, and I'm joined by my co-host at YFC Sports Pete. This is the Daily Hit and Run MLB show. We're starting off the week right, guys. This is May 2nd, so welcome to May. And as we're digging in, we're getting closer to the prime of MLB season, the end of NHL and NBA season. Pete, happy Monday. Welcome in. How are you feeling, brother?
Doing good. What's up, my man? Everything is starting to like fall into place. It seems like early May. We've been saying it all month that we need a good month's worth of statistics, metrics, all that, and we've seen it this weekend. I think it's starting to come together a little bit. So
absolutely,
now it's time to really dig in, make some money, and play some DFS MLB.
Yeah. And I know, obviously, if you guys are following us, we have been posting on our socials. Obviously, we have a PrizePicks show that's also available. That is something that we've been doing. We've been doing earlier ones. We've been doing ones that are closer to lock. I think that's the expectation today. Correct, Pete? At you and Mark, our NHL guy, is y'all are going to be going on later this afternoon?
5:30 Eastern time.
Awesome, man. And
yeah, just it's a quick live thing. Just gives all the picks on the board, our favorite picks from our experts at YFC, and so on.
Yeah, man. And obviously, like Pete said, man, I just want to echo that you're crushing, obviously, MLB now with these stats and this data starting to come in there. Obviously, the concern of the seam change on the baseballs, and then we had a day where it seems like they put all the old balls back in, where home runs were flying out of every single park in the major leagues. And then, of course, you get ebbs and flows, but I do think numbers do not lie in MLB. That's what we focus in on with the data. And guys, we're going to cover the 6-game slate tonight, and I believe it is starting. And I want to double check this. The first pitch is at 6:40 p.m. Eastern time. So we're going to be covering the 6-game slate. We're going to be talking a lot of DraftKings, some FanDuel as well. As far as the weather, it looks like the weather game that's on the slate it's actually not on the slate, but you have the Atlanta and the New York Mets game there's some possibility of rain, but it doesn't look likely. So it looks like we're going to be clear to go, Pete. It doesn't look like we have any weather to worry about. So we're going to be able to talk a little BVP, talk about some of your favorite top plays. We're going to go positionally. And yeah, man, if you're ready to roll, I'm ready for you.
Yeah, let's get right into pitching.
Awesome, man. So we're going to talk about pitching, guys, and we're going to be talking about DraftKings and, of course, FanDuel. We'll talk a little bit about ownership projections. This is early in the morning, obviously. We're talking 10 a.m., 10:05 actually, Eastern time. So with that being said, Pete, who are you looking at right now as your top pitchers for your cash games?
I'm focusing on, and I pulled up the Vegas for the first time all day. I really didn't pay much attention to Vegas because I was trying to see the lowest implieds, and it's right down where I thought, the bottom of Arizona. So I'm looking at two pitchers. I'm looking at that game. I'm looking at the Arizona Miami game, and I may double bang that and use them as my two cash pitchers. I think this to me is one of my favorite pitching slates of the year. It's like there's, we don't have the elite pitcher, we don't have like the Scherzer or whatever, but we have some really good pitchers and a bunch of different ways you can go. Like you have Bassett up there. I think it's a great GPP play. Max Fried, that game I think could turn to a great pitching game. But I'm looking at Miami and Arizona. And first of all is Pablo. I mean, he's the highest salary pitcher on the slate. But Pablo has been completely lights out. I mean, he's got a .039 ERA right now. So he's got a whip of .76. He hasn't allowed a home run yet. And the thing is, he pitches. He's got two pitches. He's got the fastball, and that fastball is only like 92 miles an hour, and he's got probably the best changeup in the game. So they go from Alcantara, who was like 103 miles an hour, and then they go to a Lopez like the next game, who throws, he just stifles guys with that changeup. It's like, I think that changeup, it's like 87 miles an hour, 87, 88 miles an hour. And I'm looking, it's got a 33 CSW, that call strikes whiffs total rate, which is 8% above the average success of all other pitchers. So, and that changeup, they're only slugging at a .174 and the league standard is 334. So Lopez has been lights out. And then you look and who's he going against? He's going up against Arizona, right? Who's one of the worst hitting teams in baseball. And I don't have to give you all the stats in Arizona. It's a bad hitting team. So we know Lopez is going to get you 100 pitches. That's the way he's gone. I mean, so I'm looking at him, and then I'm going right back in that game on the other side. Is actually one of my favorite pitchers. Actually, right now in baseball is Zach Gallen, and Gallen he's been lights out too. I mean, you have pretty much two bad offenses here, and Gallen's coming out that great game against the Dodgers. Yeah, he seems like he owns the Dodgers now, and this is kind of a revenge game. Remember, Gallen came from Miami. So this is the first time he's actually gonna get to face the Marlins. He actually came in that Jazz Chisholm trade. So Gallen gets a chance to go up against the Marlins, and he's just as good of a spot, I think, as Pablo, trying to call up his numbers here, because Miami right now, they're not. I mean, let me see. Miami right now, he's got 27% K rate. Miami. They strike out a lot.
Right. Yeah.
So honestly, I'm probably going right back to those two pitchers. I mean, okay, here I was waiting for it to call up. He's only allowed one earned run in 3 starts. He's allowed only 2 hits in all 3 starts, 2 hits each start. And the Marlins strike out 25% of the time. This is like the last 2 weeks against righties. Yeah. So I'm looking right now at Cash, Lopez, and Gallen. I think the popular play is going to be Drew Rasmussen from Tampa, but I just don't. Hey, Rasmussen's been great this year. I don't trust Tampa in their leashes for any of these guys for cash. I mean, he's been doing really well. Chris Bassett is going to be popular because he's really cheap. And the funny thing about Chris Bassett is now Chris Bassett finally has a third pitch he's using that curveball. He's gotten away with only 2 pitches. That was a big knock on Paddock, and now he's using the curveball to a lot of success right now. So, right. But to me, let anybody play Paddock. Let anybody play Max Fried. To me, it's Lopez and Gallen right now at 10 a.m. in cash.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can't fault you on any of those calls. I do feel like if you're looking at everything in a vacuum based off of a team that he's throwing against and everything, all things considered, I think that Pablo is probably going to be my favorite pitcher. I will say, and I don't know 100% here, but that ballpark data, Miami's pretty deep, right? Like, I mean, it's not a place where you see a lot of home runs. It's not a big hitter's park. Yeah. So, and I mean, you got to kind of consider that if you're going to stay within that game. I think Gallen is extremely cheap at 7.6 on DraftKings. Obviously, if you're looking at him from the FanDuel standpoint, he's 9-1. He's the 4th highest priced pitcher. If I'm being devil's advocate here, you will say that on FanDuel, one of the things that you do want to target is you do want to target win equity. Obviously, quality starts are great for a pitcher, but you got 2 offenses here that may struggle. So you don't really know exactly who you're going to get with the win. So you may lean a little bit differently on FanDuel if you're looking at it from an odds or a betting standpoint. And I do think the biggest, the biggest probably betting line right now when we're looking at differentiation is probably going to be Houston. It's probably going to come in at the biggest favorite just from a runs implied standpoint. Everything else is pretty square when it looks like that on the betting platforms across the slate. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think Pat Bassett's probably going to get a lot of ownership here because I think that people are going to steer away from playing 2 pitchers from the same game. Pete, I think that we've seen that a lot, right? People do that. Like, and I have no issue. I'm not so concerned about that win bonus because both these guys could go 7 innings pitched, not allow a run, and neither one of them gets the win. Like, we could be in that kind of a game. So I'm not so focused in on just having to have that win equity. I think it's something from a game theory standpoint. But yeah, I agree with you. Anybody down low, I know, like, I mean, you don't have a ton of pitchers, 6-game slate. But if you're looking at guys that are, let's say, the sub 7K guys, Dalton Jeffries, Odorizzi, Stripling, and Wells, is there any interest in any of those guys?
The only one, and like I said, to me on this 6-game slate, I think that Paddock is probably the value play. But, and this is from your team. I mean, I guess I could deal with Jake Odorizzi and some GPPs.
I don't know if I would.
I mean, he just picked up, and this is a pretty tough group here. But he just picked up his first victory against Texas. He only gave up a solo home run and 1 walk over 6 innings. So once again, Odorizzi is one of those veterans that can come in every now and then. We saw it yesterday with Pavetta. A guy that get beat up a lot, even Jordan Lyles, and also to come in and he's pitching up in the major leagues where he knows how to pitch. So, and he gets the Mariners at home. So, he's got what, a 4.34 xERA. So we could maybe get like a quality start out of him, and he could win this game. So if anything, I would probably go as low as Odorizzi, and that's about it.
Yeah, because I think he's going to get some run support. It looks like Altuve is slated to be back today, so that's going to be helpful for that lineup. So I honestly, like, if I'm really looking at it from just a strict GPP standpoint, is that I'm kind of playing the whole, well, he could get the Ks, and hopefully he can get out of there before he gets beat up too much. Is Wells from Baltimore, Tyler Wells. Only reason is because he's a good strikeout pitcher. He's got some good stuff. It can get a little hairy with him because he kind of was that reverse splits pitcher, which is one reason I'm kind of leaning that way, because the Twins with their switch hitters and their lefties look like they're going to attack him here, where you got his trouble bats are going to be obviously Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa, Urshela maybe. But outside of that, these lefties, he should be able to handle them pretty handily. He has a 234 ISO to left-handers, 115 ISO, a 234 WOBA, but 32% K rate here against left-handers. Still has a 23% K rate against righties, 26% on average. This team is looking to strike out at a 26% clip. I totally understand that they went off, and it seems like Vegas kind of has a little bit of the same understanding here. They're only at a 4.05 implied run total, and you're getting this guy at a 5.1 salary. So if you really want to go in and you want to attack some of these really, really good spots with some good bats, you're going to need some salary here. He went 5 innings his last time out, and the kid struck out, 4 Ks, a couple of earned runs. He's been down there, and if you think that at 5.1 K, if he gets you double-digit points, you might be sitting in a decent spot here. But I think that is very GPP, because I do think all the pitching spots here, you're going to want to have 2 pitchers that are going to try to get you at least 20 plus today. At least 15 plus, I'd say. But it should be interesting. I do like him
against lefties.
Yeah, it's a reverse splits guy, which I really do like here. I will say, I totally understand the thought process with Odorizzi, but I'm probably going to stay away just because I've seen this guy pitch, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, he looked a little bit better this last game. So we'll see. It's the same thing. Like you said, look at Jordan Lyles yesterday. Look at these guys that come in out of nowhere. They're gas cans and then just have these amazing games. Some of these Baltimore guys are surprising, man. Like these kids are pitching. I'm like, wow. So anyways, that covers pitching, Pete. Obviously 6-game slate, not a ton of places to go. You ready to move over to catcher?
Let's hit it.
All right. Catcher right now, looks like ownership-wise, you got Ryan Jeffers leading the slate here, going against Wells. That's understandable. Martin Maldonado obviously is he's always kind of a BVP guy, BVP favorite, has a lot of at-bats against Marco Gonzalez. I will tell everyone, and I'll shout it from the mountaintops, just be careful with Maldonado this season, because Machete is not exactly hitting like he should be, or maybe he can anymore. I don't know. We'll see. He's known for his defensive abilities. So all that being said, those are your ownership guys right now. Who are you liking here at this position, or are you just paying down?
This is, to me, one thing that jumps on me right away is the Seattle pricing. There's no way am I paying $5,100 for Tom Murphy, even against Jake Odorizzi. And I'm talking cash here. So this is probably a pay down. I think we didn't really mention JMO, Jordan Montgomery, going for the Yankees. These, this is against Toronto, but Kirk. These 6-game slate pricing can get weird. So you got Kirk at 4K. I think he's in play. Really good race against lefties. 200 ISO, 368 WOBA. Beside that, I'll probably try to find somebody. That's cheap enough. Whoever comes out, we always find out one value catcher usually that comes out once all the lineups come out. But beside Kirk, there's really nobody I'm in love with. Like I said, maybe the other kid for Seattle, what's his name, Raleigh, he's cheap enough. Maybe I can pick on Odorizzi that way, something like that. But I just think there's no way can I pay Murphy, but I do want to get a piece of Seattle a little bit. So Sean Murphy's 40 against Rasmussen was on GPP. Travis Denaud went from 2K to now he's 5,400 against Bassett. DK has no idea what they're doing here. But I'm probably just going to drop all the way down to a Kurt or somebody that pops up in the value like a Cal Raleigh or somebody like that, really.
Yeah. I think this is kind of like almost a prime pay down spot, I think, today for me, just because I know where a lot of my salary is going to go, and it's not going to be at the catcher position. I will kind of wait and see. I didn't see anybody in there. I mean, I told you about BVP. There's nothing that really stands out right there, obviously. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of a wait and see. I may just look at see who I'm stacking, essentially, if I have 3 players from the team.
Exactly.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way you do, Pete. I don't think there's a lot to talk about here with catcher. If you're ready, we can go ahead and move on to the first base position. Looking at it right now, so kind of switching over, if you're looking at it from the FanDuel side of things, it looks like the ownership is going to be on Yandy Diaz and Mountcastle and Mancini. They want to attack the Paddock side here. It looks like Vladimir Guerrero looks to be the highest slated overall raw points production player. I know he's extremely expensive on DraftKings, 5.6K. On FanDuel, 4.2, a little bit easier to stomach there. So what are we looking at first base today?
Yeah, it looks like right now everybody's attacking Paddock, but here's another. I mean, you got Ty France sitting here at 6K. This is crazy. So that makes Ty France a really good GBP play, but people are going to be off him because of that price. So I think when Vlad is cheaper than Ty France, even though I'd like to see Vlad in a reverse split, I think Vlad's in play 5,600 against Montgomery. You got Rizzo against a righty Stripling at 55, even though I'd rather play Rizzo at Yankee Stadium with that short porch. But he's in play. You want to get cheap. You got Seth Brown, who's been doing fine going up against Rasmussen. I got a feeling Rasmussen may be the guy I end up picking on because I think Rasmussen is going to be real popular today in GBPs.
Yeah, that's super fair. Yeah, I agree with you on that. It looks like he's going to get some ownership for sure on GPP.
Yeah, he is. So I'm looking at probably Vlad right now is probably my favorite first baseman. And if I want to go cheap, I mean, I guess you can pick on Paddock. Mancini's still cheap. Mountcastle's real cheap. I used Jordan Luplo yesterday. Well, he's going against Lopez. He got me 2 home runs yesterday in GBP. That was nice. But probably Yuli against Marco. I assume Yuli's got a BVP against Marco, right?
Yeah. I mean, it looks like a little bit. He's got about 20 plate appearances against him. He hasn't taken him yard though. It's kind of weird. But slugging 524, hitting 286. So he's able to hit him. He's got some doubles off of him. No strikeouts, which is actually kind of nice. Here against Marco. I will say if Nico Goodrum he probably won't get the start if Altuve's back, but he's hitting about 500 in his career on 8 plate appearances on there. The best BVP probably goes to Vlad here against Jordan Montgomery, just from an overall standpoint based off of the damage he's done. Okay. A couple walks, a bomb, hitting 429, slugging 857 here. I do get it with the righty power from Baltimore with Paddock being a reverse splits pitcher. So it makes sense why you'd want to attack him here. He only throws really 2 pitches. He throws a fastball. He throws a changeup. That fastball.
Like I said before, he's throwing a change. Now he totally changed. He's throwing a curveball now. Totally changed it before last 3 starts.
So that's what I was going to say. It looks like, so he's throwing those 2 pitches, but it's spiked from 10% to 28.57% on curveballs against a righty. So that was kind of like what I was looking at too, because you mentioned that about some of these pitchers about they're changing their stuff up, and he's only traditionally thrown those 2 pitches. So it looks like he's still got good velocity. So his that curveball looks good. I don't foresee Mancini or Mountcastle being guys that are absolutely going to destroy him here. So I think that it makes sense as a reverse splits guy, but I think it might be a little bit of fool's gold with that, like going one of the Baltimore guys here when there's so many other good options. So yeah, man, I definitely like that. I will say first base. I noticed Luis Arias is first base eligible now, so that's something that's changed. That's different here. But I mean, you were spot on with that Jordan Luplo call yesterday. Anything else that we can see here that it looks like it's going to be sneaky at first base before we move on?
No, actually, I don't mind that. I didn't notice that Luis Arias either, lefty and righty, so that's not a bad call. He's got decent numbers, 329 batting average against righties. Yeah. No, I'm probably gonna try to get Vlad this slate, I love the pitching, and I really don't like the hitting because I like the pitching so much. That's gonna be the problem here.
Yeah, 1,000% agree here. All right, we're moving on. Second base. We did talk about we could be seeing some Altuve action back in the lineup for Houston at the top. A lot of good spots here at second base. I actually do like this position a lot. Gleyber Torres is continuing to be cheap, which obviously is going to spike his ownership against Ross Stripling here. And I mean, I don't even really have to look, but I'm pretty sure Ross Stripling is a little bit of a reverse splits guy too. So obviously that's someone to look at. Yeah, he's definitely reverse splits here. And we know that Torres can get hot for the Yankees. There's a lot of right-handers in this. They could really be picking on Ross today. So we have Brandon Lau also is up there as well with DJ LeMahieu. We talked about Luis Arias. Who's your favorite second baseman, Pete?
Probably Lau against Jeffries, even though he's slumping. Yeah. I mean, but you play Lau against righties. He's only hitting like 180 on a year. He's due though. I said it's been a month now. I could definitely see him. This could be the game he's going off. I do like Gleyber is playing much better. I mean, even though he had a tough game yesterday. Before that, though, on Saturday he had 2 hits. Friday night he had a home run, another hit. So he's starting to turn around a little bit with some pop. What's Gleyber though is 37, so it's not bad. I'm probably going to try to get the Lau and really hope the Lau hits one. You got Albies against Bassett. That's a tough one. Yeah. And Bassett's a righty. Jeff McNeil's been hitting really well, but he's going up against Fried, who's a lefty. That's another tough one. Adam Frazier maybe. Frazier at 4,600, man. But I like Frazier better than Toro. I think Toro may have a BBP there, though. So probably Brandon Lau, a little bit of Frazier, or unless I go all the way down to Gleyber, unless something pops up later. A real cheap second baseman right now.
Yeah. I mean,
he had a home run yesterday. I don't think he's going to hit back-to-back, but maybe, I guess.
Yeah, I don't either. I will say Frazier has some really good BVP. Only 3 plate appearances against Odorizzi here. Obviously, Odor, you mentioned that name. He does have good BVP here against Paddock. It looks like Altuve is probably going to, most of these Astros, I've seen this Marco Gonzalez guy a lot. So I think they can definitely hit him here, but it looks like he's only taken him yard one time. All that being said, DJ LeMahieu, he's seen a lot of Ross Stripling. It's not really hitting him for power. Kind of noticed that about LeMahieu is that he's never really been a huge power guy. He has pop, but he's a gap hitter. So obviously, he could do some damage here today for the Yankees. That ballpark in Toronto, it's a hitter's park for sure. So I will say no reason to really look at paying up. I'm kind of leaning with you here on Brandon Lau against Jeffries. I just feel like Lau's too good of a hitter. He crushes right-handers for the most part. It's a great late-night hammer kind of thing in that situation that you got this Jeffries kid who – it seems like he's due for some regression. If you're looking at his stats, looking at his WOBA, his ISO, and everything like that, it seems that with his XFIT being at 5.13, that there's some regression due. So that all that being said, I would love to be ahead of that curve and try to get him on the downswing. And if you can get Lau at even some decent low ownership because of the game log watchers, he's somebody that I want to consider. Anytime you have a guy that's kind of a fast, like a sinking fastball type of a pitcher against Lau, he usually crushes him. Hopefully we see Wander Franco. That would be a nice 1-2 pop here, or you can wrap around with Brett Phillips at the bottom of that order, who's another decent left-hander against righties. All that being said, Pete, anything else on second base position?
No, I'm going to try to get to Brandon Lau if I can, or Lau or Gleyber, but don't sleep. I mean, even though it's a lefty, don't sleep on Jeff McNeil. McNeil is crushing. Of course, I played him Saturday, the one day when I think he was an offer, but McNeil's hit 530 over the last week, 360 on the season. He's on a really good season right now, and he can handle Max Fried here. So he hits lefties. I got decent batting averages. His advanced metrics aren't great. Yeah, don't sleep on Jeff McNeil at 3,900.
Yeah, I love that. Moving on here, I will mention before we do move on to third base, Ty France is second base eligible on FanDuel. So if you wanted to play him and Vlad for some reason,
what's Ty France's price on FanDuel? I'm already getting beat up for beating him up his 6K on DMs here, but
he's at 3.9K. 3.9 on FanDuel. So he's up there.
He's come down to earth a little bit, but the kid, the kid's a stud.
Yeah. All right, third base, Pete. We got probably my favorite play of the day. It looks like Alex Bregman for me is kind of popping up there with ownership. Makes a lot of sense here against Marco. There's a lot of good third basemen. We can only play one today. Well, at least on DraftKings. There's a few multi-eligible guys. Yandy Diaz at first, but we already talked about that first base position. And then you got a few other guys down there that we could consider, like a Joey Wendell or someone down there that's a good lefty righty, but he's 4.9K, which is pretty insane. Abraham Toro, revenge spot, obviously. Houston, as soon as they let that guy go to Seattle, he started crushing. I don't know if you remember that, but Toro was on a tear. So looking at it, third base, what are you seeing here? And what is your favorite play right now?
I mean, it's got to be Alex Bregman. I'm assuming he's going to carry the ownership too against Marco.
Yeah.
Those advanced metrics are crazy right now, especially against lefties. So Bregman, but one, I don't understand why Gino Suarez is more expensive than Bregman. He's only hitting 120 the last week, but Suarez has finally got some little bit of pop back in his swing here, which I like because I'm a big Suarez guy. He shouldn't be more expensive than Bregman though. So I like Suarez for GBP, Bregman. Here's one, maybe Matt Chapman, only 3,900 against JMO, 249 ISO. So that would probably Chapman would probably be my favorite. Brian Anderson going to Gallons. He hit one yesterday. I like Joey Wendell, but he's going against one of my cash pitchers, Gallon. I could definitely use Joey Wendell in some GPPs.
What about your guy, man? Bringer of Rain. He's right there, right under 5K.
Yeah, 4.8. Well, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that righty numbers are pretty good for him too. But at 4.8, when I got Bregman there 5.1, you got to go Bregman and cash.
Yeah, you're right. I think if you're gonna want to go Yankee stacks, he's somebody you want to include. I love Donaldson here, righty versus righty matchup against reverse splits guy.
290 last week.
Yeah, absolutely. And then obviously digging down, I mean, you can look at from a just a complete value standpoint. If you can't for some reason get Bregman, or you're being a little bit different and you want to go all the way down there, I do like Urias here. I know righty on righty matchup, but obviously reverse splits pitcher. He's somebody that's cheap down there, 2.9K at second and third base eligible. You talked about Brian Anderson a little bit here. I always like if I can play JD Davis in a spot where I feel like he's going to crush. Yeah, we haven't really talked too much about Fried here. Fried's a really good pitcher. Fried could kind of come in and just crush today. Absolutely. I'm not 100% sure on his history against the Mets, but I do know that Fried is he's a professional major league guy. He's going to come in there, get you a quality start. He's going to get some strikeouts here. He hasn't faced the Mets yet, but traditionally, I think Fried is going to do very well in this spot. But you did mention there's some guys that could absolutely hit him, the lefty-lefty matchup like the Jeff McNeil and stuff. But for JD Davis, like I said, he's one of those guys. He's super talented. I just don't know if can't put it all together or what it is that he's struggling with. But I like playing JD Davis because he's always cheap. So all that being said, Bregman's your top guy there. Anything else on third base?
No, and I feel the same way about JD Davis. I keep waiting for him to put it all together. And he shows signs. And then I really thought this year with the DH coming in, he would get more. But I've always liked JD Davis too. But no, it's all about Bregman. Like you said, Donaldson, good spot. We didn't mention Gio Urshela, still cheap at 3.1. If you're gonna go all the way down there, but I kind of like this Matt Chapman call against JMO at 3,900. I think Chapman is in a good spot here. Most of these guys are all hitting under 200, but he could definitely lose one tonight against JMO here.
Yeah. Speaking of guys that are starting to put it all together, we're moving over to shortstop. Bo Bichette looks like he's starting to hit. He's starting to hit for power. He's starting to hit bombs. It's kind of nice to see. I know he started out the season slumping a little bit here. Obviously, you got Montgomery on the other side here. They're projecting these Jays to definitely have some success here. And looks like he's carrying the ownership right now, right behind Carlos Correa. Actually, Correa is actually creeping up quite a bit. So Correa being cheaper at 4.6K over a Bo Bichette. If you had to have those two guys in a vacuum, pricing you're not even looking at here, Pete. Who do you like today out of Correa and Bichette? I'm curious.
Man, probably no even Correa's hitting the ball. I mean, he's like 400 over last week. So he's crushing. I think he had a home run. No, I don't think he did, but he had some he put almost 15, 16 DK points over the weekend. I don't think he did hit one. But Correa is a little bit cheaper. The thing about Bichette, I'm a Bichette guy. I've been waiting I watched that game yesterday. I watched those first couple of bats, and they kept showing him in the dugout. You could see how stressed the kid was watching the iPad, watching all his swings between innings. And then he finally let that one loose later in the game. And you could tell the whole world was off his shoulders. You could tell when he crossed home plate. So that could be the start of a Bo Bichette tear. That's what he needs. The kid's way too talented, and the kid crushes lefties. I'm seeing a little Blue Jay stack building with Chapman, Bichette. Correa's probably getting a favorite play, but $600 more. Bichette, he can be streaky. 410 wood, but 340 average against lefties. Give me Bichette today, but Correa is going to be the smart play. You always have Franco. I don't understand his Braves now. Now you got Dansby, who hit at 3,100 against Bissett, yet they have him at 2K against some scrub pitcher. So Swanson's going to end up being low owned because Bassett's good. Nicky Ahmed, back-to-back games, home runs. I'm a huge Nicky Ahmed fan, but he's going up against Pablo Lopez. Here could be the call that here's probably the best call of the day, and this kid gets absolutely no fanfare at all. Is JP Crawford. JP Crawford is 420 the last week. I think he had a home run yesterday.
Raking. Yeah, he is. He's raking right now.
370 on a season, 462 OBP, 10 ribbies. JB, and he's never owned. Now he's going up against Odorizzi with the split. Even though Bichette does have better numbers on the split, and so does Correa. JP Crawford's probably the top play against Odorizzi. Now I'm looking at it. So I would rank him JP, Bichette, and Correa if you would recency, but I really see Bichette starting to take off here.
Yeah, and obviously Bichette has some very good success here against Montgomery. Probably hits Montgomery harder than anybody out there. 8 at bats, 2 home runs, 4 hits, hitting 500, slugging 1375.
Oh, yeah, I see that now. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, and JP Crawford, if you're a BVP guy, obviously you could look at that and say, well, there's no way I'm going to play this guy against Odorizzi. I mean, look at him. He's only hitting 143, slugging 214, but he's a completely different hitter. I absolutely think that JP Crawford, I saw you picked him up in our YFC, our seasonal league, and I literally was hovering over him thinking about it. I was like, man, do I want to grab this guy? I was going to grab him. I was like, let me think about it some. And later in the day, I saw you picked him up. I was like, that bastard. So, yeah, you went ahead and got Crawford, but, he's a great player. I like him a lot here, and he should be definitely part of your Seattle stacks. That being said, Pete, like I said, shortstop, I think that you hit the nail on the head there. We're definitely looking at some good options here. We want to kind of be allocating some salary to our shortstop position with so many good options. Moving on to outfield, though. We do have some high ownership on some of the cheaper guys. The Yankees are definitely getting ownership as well here. It looks like topping the list on the FanDuel side of things is Aaron Judge. He's been crushing lately, obviously. 2 home runs yesterday. I didn't feel too bad. I did very well with playing Mike Trout, but I kind of had the feeling before this slate I should have played them both, and I didn't.
I did in one lineup and did really well.
Yeah, I bet it did, man. You're talking about 60 points combined between those two guys. So with that being said, it looks like a Chas McCormick is going to be projecting quite high, even not leading off here. Still 3K on DraftKings, 2.9 on FanDuel. Batting 7th here against Marco. We talked about Judge, Stanton. I mean, listen, I love Judge. Obviously, he's a great hitter. As an Astros fan, you want to dislike the guy, but I do like him. But I always like playing Stanton a lot. I think you could definitely consider both of them here. There's a lot of good BVP for these Astros outfielders here against Marco. So all that being said, Pete, what are we looking at from the outfield position?
I mean, Judge is so hot. I mean, and he's gonna be so chalky. You're screwed if you don't play him and he hits another one. But I do like the Stanton call. Stanton is yet to go on one of those Stanton-esque streaks. But the thing is, Stan, he's hitting. I mean, he's hit like 400 last week. So Stan's definitely play. So I mean, people shy away from your Dong and Tucker when it's lefty versus lefty. I don't. That's usually those guys cheaper, right, and low owned. So they're in play. I mean, we don't have to talk about Buxton's and Acuna's and stuff. So cheaper guys, I like Kepler at 3,400 against Wells.
Okay.
Don't mind him. I just saw. Oh, you mentioned Chaz. I'm becoming a big Chaz fan. I don't care if he's batting 8th or 9th, especially against the lefty. I'll play Chaz. He's in play. I think another name is the Brown kid, Seth Brown. I like Seth Brown a little bit. He's real cheap, 2,800 against Rasmussen. So I might end up beating up on Rasmussen a little bit. They picking on him because he's gonna be high owned. And then you get Josh Lau against Jeffries, so you're probably part of a Tampa stack at 3K, even though he's sitting all right, I guess, like 250. So I'm just looking at some, I'll probably get like one big guy, maybe go different with Houston, and then go more middle order with guys like a Max Kepler. Who else is popping up? Trey Mancini is gonna be popular.
The Baltimore guys, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna stay away from Baltimore because they're gonna be so popular. And maybe pretty much gave the ones I like, and may sneak maybe like a Kevin Kiermaier does well against a guy like a Jeffries. Yeah. Get Kiermaier at 2.6. So Kiermaier may actually be my favorite Ray, especially in GPP stacks. I think you mentioned Brett Phillips. He's used him as a nice wraparound. He's only 2.4. Phillips, that speed, and he can handle a bat. And Mark Canha is only 2.6. Canha's a hitter. Oh, there is one name, and I wrote him down. And Trevor Larnach. I think Larnach's in a good spot right now. He's hitting the ball really hard, like 48% hard contact. I saw. So his 2 hits in 3 of his last 5, hit 288 in a season. So I think Larnach's a good spot, and it's probably maybe Aaron Hicks.
Yeah, I was going to say we definitely should talk about one of the most polarizing DFS guys. You got Joey Gallo. Looks like he's projecting well. I feel like people are going to see righty lefty and just assume that he's in a great spot. But I mean, I've nearly lost all faith in Joey Gallo. I mean, he's kind of started to pick it up lately. He had a couple bombs back to back, but he seems like he's a homer or nothing guy. And at this point in his career, what I mean?
He's still sitting on my team and season long too. I gotta get rid of this guy.
Yeah. No, you can keep him. That'll be great for us. But no, yeah, I think Joey Gallo, obviously, he's going to get some ownership for sure here because he's a cheap Yankee. People are going to see Joey Gallo's name. He's synonymous with hitting home runs. He's only on DraftKings. I think let me see. I just had him up here. It was like he's like in 3.6. Yeah, 3.6, and he's cheap on FanDuel. So I would expect he's going to get some ownership just for the sake of just being cheap alone. 2.7 on FanDuel. The guys that I don't know. I may stay away from George Springer. And traditionally, I usually play the guy, but he's priced up. He had a huge game in playing against the Astros recently. Obviously, a couple bombs, stolen base. I mean, the guy he's really has been crushing. But I think at 5.5K. I'm not in love with this because I think that he does struggle against Montgomery a little bit. I mean, I know he's seen him quite a bit in his career, at least 7 plate appearances. He's only one hit against the guy. It's a double. It could change though. I mean, it's in a good spot. I would just say normally I'm a big George Springer guy, but today I may spend a little bit of that salary elsewhere or go down a little bit. But yeah, we can.
Tucker is on total fire right now.
Yeah, and he hits this type of pitcher, this lefty sinker ball guy. Tucker, he can hit this guy. So I'm probably leaning more there. He's at 4.6. He's probably going to get low ownership.
He's probably going to play.
Yeah, I think that he's probably my favorite play. I think he's going to go yard today. So, all right, Pete, all that being said, 6-game slate. We talked about the positions. Let's talk real quick about your favorite stacks. Since it's a smaller slate, give me your favorite stack and then give me your sneaky stack, and then I'll give you my favorite low-owned stack, and then we'll talk about home run calls, and we'll call it a day. What do you got on your favorite stack today?
Probably maybe the Rays, but they may be popular. Probably Seattle because they're so high, they're so pricey. I'm assuming they're gonna be low owned, so I'm probably looking at Seattle as a stack. And then maybe some Rays, and then like I said, I'm probably gonna stack against Rasmussen. They're like a really cheap Oakland A stack in there, and hope they jump on. And don't get me wrong, Rasmussen's been pitching well. I mean, typical Tampa pitcher, right? I mean, that organization knows what they're doing, but I think he's gonna be so high owned. So why not take a chance on throwing a little A stack in there to be different, and that's how you win these things. Is like a Seth Brown. Another name I didn't mention. This kid, he's from upstate New York. That's Kevin Smith. If Kevin Smith gets in, I think Kevin Smith's been hitting really well, and he's a minimum price. So some Rays, some A's, and Seattle.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I kind of want to stay away from Baltimore a little bit. It just seems like it's too good of a thing.
Yep.
And I think Paddock, like you said, with that curveball, it's going to be a game changer for him that he added that third pitch. I think favorite stack from a sneakier standpoint, just to me, because I don't think that they're really going to be played a ton, is I don't know why, but I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards like this just Toronto team. I just feel like Montgomery is due for some regression. I'm looking at his numbers here, and I know he's racked up strikeouts. And I will tell you one thing, the freaking Toronto Blue Jays are not the Baltimore Orioles. So I think that Montgomery is going to be in for a world of hurt today. I think that Toronto is going to get him, especially the heart of that lineup. You know, it may come from Chapman. It may come from Guerrero or Bichette's continuing to be hot. But I'm going to actually have some stacks with these Toronto hitters where I'm going to stack the bottom of their lineup. I'm probably going to play Chapman, Kirk, Tapia, Espinal. Like, I can't imagine the amount of times this year I've wasted a GPP stack because I played the 1 through 5 Toronto stack, or 1 through 4, 2 through 5, whatever it is. And it's the bottom of the lineup. These guys, they just go off, and they're very underrated hitters. And I think Montgomery, like I said, I'm just looking at the numbers, man. It just seems like it's due for some regression. 5.06 xFIP right now. He's only at an 18% K rate. Obviously, that Baltimore game helped him out a lot. So I think that there's some possibility they can hit this guy today. So we shall see. With that being said, Pete, we're going to wrap it up with home run calls and call it a day. Mine, I'm just going to go ahead and say, since it's a small slate, we'll just pick one guy today. I'm going to go ahead and grab Kyle Tucker. I just think that he's hitting the ball well. This is a great spot for him today. Houston's playing at home. He tends to hit very well at Minute Maid. I definitely like the spot here. Who's your guy?
I'm going Gino Suarez for Seattle.
I love that.
And then my mini one's Matt Chapman, but Suarez is my call.
Yeah, I think you're right too, because Suarez, all the pitch data matches up here against Odorizzi. You really got. I mean, I know he's expensive, but you really got to consider him today. Like I said, as a huge Astros guy, I'm not going to sign off on Odorizzi here, especially because he throws that fastball exactly where Suarez likes to hit it. So I love that call, Pete. Anything else before we head out of here?
No, we're good.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you guys. As always, if you're checking this out on any of our socials, YouTube, Twitch, or anything, be sure to hit the thumbs up and like us and give us the subscription on those as well. That helps us out immensely, and we appreciate you guys viewing in and joining us. And, of course, as always, hit the bell for notifications so whenever our videos come out, including the PrizePicks one later on this evening. Don't forget, we're proud partners with PointsBet and PrizePicks, obviously with here at yourfielderschoice.com. We are running our promo, $25. It's half off right now. Get it while you can. Best price in the industry, all premium sports. Join in, jump into that Discord on the links that you can find on our website. As always, my name is Adam at YFC Sports V12. This is Pete at YFC Sports Pete. We appreciate you guys. Have a great morning. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you. Good luck.